to introduce Jim Palm, Vice President of Sales for the United States of America for ELCO. And I called Jim in because we're getting quite a few people close to being able to write a contract now. And we want everybody to be comfortable in that process. You know, the worst thing that could happen to an individual is they don't write a contract because they're afraid they might mess it up. And that has happened too, you know. Don't set an appointment because I don't know how to write a contract. So we laid a foundation now with the electronic contracts and things that we have. It's considered a great benefit in this day and time. So I'm going to turn it over now to Jim. He's going to talk to you a little bit about ELCO, a little bit about himself, and talk about the products a little bit and open up some eyes with regard to our electronic contracts. Without any further ado, Mr. Plum, you have the floor.
Thank you, Eddie, and welcome everybody to the meeting today. Thank you for taking time to out of your schedules to take a little moment to look over this stuff. By all means, if ever you have any question whatsoever, we've told Eddie as well, when you're working, we are working. Julie, my wife, and I, we're a husband-wife team for ELCO as their national sales directors for the pre-need product. That came by way of a little bit of an evolution, excuse me, and I've had a cold, so I apologize. ELCO is a 74-year-old company, or well, actually more than that, 77 or 8. Started in 1946. The pre-need, they got into it by way of acquiring a small company back in the 70s, I believe it was. But it really got something going with it when our predecessors who owned an agency up here in Minnesota came to ELCO and said, hey, we've got this idea for a product. Here are the rates. This is what we got for an idea. ELCO turned around and said, yes, that looks like it would be a really good product for the market. And we've been looking to try to get more into pre-need as well. Tell you what, Ed and Carolyn, those are their names. We will underwrite the product, invest the money, and pay the claims. In turn, you can go wherever you wish to go, find agents, find funeral homes that wish to write the product. That began in 1988. And my wife Julie and I personally knew Ed and Carolyn. Prior to that, I was in the funeral business. I was a funeral director actively for about 10 years, and I sold for Aurora Casket Company for about 15 years. And it was in 2010 that that I stepped away from Aurora and became a partner with Ed and Carolyn in their agency. And Julie followed shortly thereafter. Julie had been at a large insurance company where we happen to live in southern Minnesota. And so she had the insurance background, I had the funeral background. So we looked apparently to Ed and Carolyn like good successors for their agency. They then retired, and then it was in 2021 when ELCO said to Julie and I, would you ever care to set aside your agency and become our in-house national sales directors and still do what you do, but take on that role and brand everything under ELCO? We thought that was really good. We had other carriers that we worked with, but we are very, very partial to ELCO. They are very much a family. The company being, it is mutual, that is meaning it is policy owner owned. We like that about pre-need because the likelihood of a mutual company ever being sold is rather rare because, of course, that has to be approved by the owners of the company, meaning all of the policy owners have to agree. We tend to like that versus a stock company where they're answering only to stockholders. So it's been a very, very good fit for us and ELCO to be in that role. And office hours for ELCO are 8 to 4:30, Monday through Thursday, and 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. on Fridays. So if you happen to have a need on a Friday afternoon and call ELCO, you will find that the office is closed. Julie and I, however, we work when you're working. So if feel free to call us at any time. My cell number is 507-475-0647, and Julie's is 507-475-0648. So we'll help you at any time if you get stuck even on the e-app or whatever. So what you are working with in ELCO's product line is what is called Pre-Need Advantage. The product selected by Eddie and his team has been the 1% growth product. And then Eddie is able to, of course, give you your signing up ability to contract into ELCO and be with him and his group. If I could take a little time, I would like to quickly go to the e-app, because this is where, like Eddie said, you're looking for right from the starting block how to get going. So before I start that, there are really 3 different ways you can do business or submit business with ELCO. The first would be paper applications, and we will get you set up with those. The Illinois application sets are done and are ready to be shipped out to you. The South Carolina applications have been newly created because there were 2 additional forms required by the state of South Carolina, being a guaranteed and a non-guaranteed statement or contractual agreement. And Carolyn, you and I, of course, covered that yesterday. So we'll be having those printed paper contracts ready, but very soon. You also have a second option, and that's fillable PDF. So that you could save basically the application kit to your computer, and then you could fill that out online, or you could easily print them off, the papers, and then use them as a paper contract. And then finally, we have the e-app platform. The e-app platform can be found for most states, not all, but we're building more into them, into the e-app system. You'll be able to find that on our website, which is www.elcomutual.com. I'm going to go over there right now. I'm able to share my screen. Am I, Eddie? I see here. I can.
Yes.
Let's see. So, all right. So I think it's this one I want to share. Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to go to elcomutual.com. When the page loads, can everybody see this?
Yes.
Website? Awesome. And feel free to interrupt anybody that's on here if you have any questions at all, or if you end up on here after the fact, that's okay. Okay, let's see if we're going to load. I hope our internet is going to be cooperative. Come on. Let's go here. Okay, word of advice. If your search engine shows like it just did, don't click the one on the right over here by the building and the picture right here. Go to the left side of your screen and actually click the link, because that's what was holding us up just now, you guys. Okay, so when this page loads, I would ask you to go over to, you have these tabs off to the upper right that are in white print: annuities, life insurance, agents, about, and resources and contact. If you hover over the agent tab, let's see here. Are we going to have a slow internet today? Wow. Eddie, I'm sorry, this may or may not work. Hello? Are we there, Eddie? Still with you?
Yes, I'm
here.
Okay. Are you still seeing my screen?
no.
Well, share screen again.
Guide one of us to do it.
What's that?
Maybe you could guide one of us to do it if your internet is slow. I don't know.
I would welcome that. Sure. Sure. If somebody wants to take over, I will exit from sharing. Who do we have that can help out?
Okay, I should be able to pull it up in just a moment. Here we go.
Thank you. In the meantime, while Eddie's pulling that up, could I ask everybody, has everyone installed the mobile rate app on your mobile device? If you have not, there is an app for both Android as well as Apple phones or tablets. And to get to it, you would just go to your app store, do a search for ELCO, that's ELCO, ELCO Mobile Rate Calculator. And in doing that, it will give you an ability to install the app onto your device. Once you install it, you will be asked to enter like your password for you, or your username would be your email probably, but a password. The password to do this, and it only asks for it one time, is employees with a plural, employees life. That's with a capital E, and then 1946 and a dollar sign. So employees life, 1946 dollar sign. You only need to do that one time, and then you'll be good to go. So, okay, Eddie, it looks like you got us up and running with the website here.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So there, thank you. So yes, everybody, if you find this, you hover over the agents area header and then scroll down to pre-need e-applications. It is here, unless you have done this already, you will be asked for a password. And again, this will be one time on whatever device you're using to do this. So the password for this one is back to our old agency name. So it is Senior Advantage, that's capital SENIOR, and then capital ADVANT, as in Tom, AGE, Senior Advantage 2020 exclamation point. Senior Advantage 2020 exclamation point. So feel free to call anytime if you get hung up on this. When you do submit that, go ahead, Eddie. Already on the right, like Eddie's screen showed, if you don't see that support bot, then what you will see here is like it shows here. Look for the little dialogue bubbles down in the lower right of your screen. Looks like comic book things. Yes, and if you hover over that, it's going to click and open up what is called a pre-need support bot. It's going to ask if you're logged in yet. If you got this far, you're already logged in. So you'll click yes. And then it just says, let's get started. First, which state are you in? And again, we will be getting states like South Carolina, as among others, loaded. The first question it's going to ask you is, are the proposed insured and the owner of the policy one and the same person? Usually that is yes. And so for this instance, we'll say yes. Occasionally it might be no. It maybe, for instance, you have, I think the most clearest example is when you have somebody that is perhaps a resident at a group home and a relative is buying a policy for that person. And they want to own the policy, not the insured. Well, then the system will know to add in the signer for the owner. Otherwise, it's going to be one and the same person. So now you see here what gave you an actual hot link. It says, here's the link to the Illinois pre-need e-application. And if you click that, it is going to set up what is called the Power Form Signer Information area. You're going to have a few areas to fill out. The first is going to be the agent name. Eddie's gone through this a few times. And so he'll put in his information as the agent. Sometimes, you as agents will also be a funeral home representative, meaning you have the authorization to do the signing on behalf of that funeral home that you're working with. And so you could do the same, have it go to your same email address, and then propose insured owner. That's, of course, who that person is and their email address. I would urge everybody here that's on this meeting that you can go in here and you can play around as much as you want and do run throughs. And if you have even some separate email accounts, you want to, oh yeah, I'm going to send this, like the fictitious signer for the insured, over to my personal email, but I'm going to be the agent in this little test and I'm going to send it to my business email. You may do so. What I would ask you to do is, if they're on the proposed insured owner area, if you give it a name, you could do something like what's rather known as a sample name, like John or Jane Doe. I'll oftentimes do Joe Test, the word test, or, or Militia Test, okay? And that way, because when you do these, even though you're doing a test run through, an actual application does go to the new business office at ELCO. It will come in as a new app. And so if they see the word test, or if they see the last name Doe, they're going to know that it's a test case. Okay, so we can go ahead. Eddie, thank you. What this is going to do next is it's going to actually open up the correct form. So you see here where it's saying, please review the documents below. You can click yes now, or you can click to finish later. I would say if you're going to start it, try to finish it now. It'll be easier to get back into, is all I'm saying. So you can enter a first name. Again, you can do John Doe, Jane Doe, or a test name, whatever. Somewhere in here, sometimes I'll even, like in the address or something, I'll type in, this is a test, so whatever you wish to do here. You do not need to fill out necessarily every field, even when you're taking an actual application. Like for instance, the email area, that's a form field that you can add or type in, but it's not going to stop you from going any further. However, a name, a date of birth, an address, city, state, zip, and I believe in even a social, it is going to not allow you to go further. I think the social is actually not incumbent on getting put in there, because sometimes we know you're working with clients and they go, oh, I left my social security card at home, or I'll have to call you back with it. So I don't think that's even a mandatory field. Just so you know, when a new application comes into the new business office at ELCO, they actually do an accuracy check on the social security database for the social security number. So there are times, even if you forgot to send it in on the app, they'll actually run it. And if they find something, they'll even do a home office correction for you. Okay. Any questions so far? If not,
So good.
Great. If you can scroll down, then you'll see where you have that owner section. And if, again, we had said earlier in the app set that it was a different owner, then those areas would have been populated to fill in. Now you have the customary replacement questions. Usually it's asked of two individuals, the applicant and the agent, and they are duplicated questions. So do they have existing life insurance? Sure. Many times they will. Are they using that policy to buy this one? Most of the time it's no. If you ever have to say yes because they're doing a replacement, we ask you just to give Julie or I a call, and we'll help you provide you the supplemental forms for what's called a replacement and transfer. ELCO does do 1035 exchanges. If you have somebody that's in a policy and maybe it's really a bad one, and this would be a better advantage for them, and you're going, yeah, okay, we're going to do a replacement and a 1035 exchange. And that's where they don't then pay taxes on a policy that's coming out. If there was any dividends, it's an easy swapping of one policy for another. The nice thing is also with 1035s, as we call them, is ELCO does the work for you. They really will contact the other carrier, seek to try to get that carrier to relinquish that old policy and everything for you. Okay. Primary beneficiary is going to be, now again, each of these states are different. So with this one, your Illinois primary beneficiary is what we would call in most cases with pre-need actually a contingent, because really the first beneficiary in a pre-need policy is going to be the funeral home. But this is asking for, again, well, other than the funeral home getting paid, where are any excess proceeds going to be going? So that would, as Eddie,
contingent.
Yeah, so that's also contingent. Now, in most states, well, in fact, I think it's in all states, if you're going to be setting up pre-need policies and you wish to ensure that these will be Medicaid exempt assets, meaning people that end up in a nursing home, long-term care, where the federal Medicaid money is going to be paying for that care in the nursing home, you're going to want to put the estate of the insured on that beneficiary line, not a spouse or a son or a daughter. Now, it can always be changed, so don't lose sleep if you have a client that says, well, no, I want my wife to be this contingent beneficiary. Ah, fine, that's fine. If the day ever came that they have to apply for Medicaid, Medicaid might look at their policy paperwork and go, oh, everything's good here except we don't like this one thing. We need the estate to be the contingent beneficiary because it's all to do with estate recovery. When a person dies and they've been paying, Medicaid has been paying for their care, and in long-term care settings, they want to know if they can go back to an estate and collect any excess money. That's called estate recovery under the Medicaid Act. And so that's what an estate of the insured designation can allow. Okay, continuing on, beyond the beneficiary information, health questions. Health questions are answered if you're applying for a multi-pay policy. And again, our multi-pay plans are a 3-year, 5-year, 7-year, and a 10-year payment plan. If you're ever doing what we call a single pay policy, you may skip the health questions because the single pay policy is guarantee issue only. Related to the two health questions, if you have to say yes to either one or both of the health questions, and you're applying for a multi-pay policy, meaning a payment plan, you say yes to either one, they can still get a policy, and it's going to be a guaranteed issue policy, which will have limited benefits over the first 2 years that it's in force, okay? But they can still get it. The rates are a little bit different, but not much. I mean, mere dollars, a couple of dollars more a month is usually it. It's more that the benefits are limited on if death happens in the first 2 years on a guarantee issue. So again, based on your rate calculation that you have and what you choose, or what the client is choosing, I should say, for the type of plan they're setting up, and then the payment mode and how they want to pay, usually it's monthly, then you'll figure out what their face amount is and what their initial premium is going to be. Okay, so you would enter it in those areas. The funding method, go ahead, Eddie. Sorry.
Get that amount real quick. Hold on.
Okay, so Eddie's going to the rate calculator, and he's actually going to do a real case as if it were that person at that age, and for this amount, for a 5-year payment plan. I know I'm going through and talking very fast, so I hope that that's okay, everyone.
No, you're doing fine, Jim. Thank you.
All right.
We'll have the recording anyway to go back to.
Hey, there you go. Oh, and I have to say, I'm sorry Julie wasn't joining us. It's Friday evening. Many times on weekends, we have two grandsons, ages 4 and 1.5. Excuse me. And they thoroughly like coming over to Nana and Papa's house. So Julie is standing here with our 1.5-year-old, but right now Eddie's sharing the screen. Can everybody see me? Or you're just seeing Eddie's screen? Yeah. How you doing, Eddie?
Coming right along, 11,569. Okay, we got it.
Excellent. $233.49 a month. Funding method. Are they paying the first premium by check, or do they want the first premium come out just like the rest of their premiums, which will be the ACH form? Excuse me, I'm going to cough. Sorry about that. So right below is the ACH information. All right. And then the preferred draft date when you wish to have the first payment come out, as well as subsequent payments. So where Eddie's filling this in is for September 5th. So every month thereafter, it's going to take a payment on or about the 5th of every month. If you wish to set up a different draft date, feel free to do so. Let's say they said, I don't want my draft date to happen until the 20th of the month. If you happen to put in here 9/20, ELCO is going to hold the policy being issued up. They're going to hold it up until 9/20. And then they'll issue it and take the first payment. So that's something to be aware of. So just know that. If you have any questions at all about the draft date, feel free to call at any time. Okay, so we're down here. The signed ad area, we have populated this field to be completed by you, the agent, not the insured, because we know you're doing these from remote access. Excuse me? Hello? I might have cut somebody off. So from there, then you will see where the first area for you, Eddie, as the agent to sign is right there. And then off to the right, agent number. Here's how ELCO will do this for everyone is they will issue you your actual writing number once you've submitted your very first piece of business. So your very first app that you do, you can leave that area blank, or you can simply write pending in there. Pending. Okay. From there on, you'll get an actual writing number, and then scrolling down, product schedule under the agent notes area, you will select. Actually, you'll always be selecting A. If you forget, that's the product you have. If you forget, don't worry about it. The more important thing is, where do you want the policy to be mailed? Okay. As you can see, the default is it'll be coming to you, the agent. But oftentimes you'll choose to have it simply sent to the owner. Okay. Then the last boxed in area is a proxy. Because ELCO is a mutual company, meaning policy owner owned, every year they have the meeting of the board of directors. If ever there is somebody on the board that is up for election or re-election, you as a policy owner would get a ballot to cast a vote. Many people don't want to be bothered with a ballot. And if your clients don't want to have a ballot, then they can simply choose yes here. Okay. They're handing their vote away to what's called a proxy. to do the voting for them, so they don't deal with a ballot. If you have somebody in a nursing home or somebody that's upper ages and you know that they're not going to, it's going to be confusing, I would always just go yes, you know, that you just want to hand it off to a proxy. But there's other policyholders say, no, I'll want a ballot. I'll do it. I feel that's very, very important. So any questions so far? That's the application. In the subsequent pages, you have what is called a statement of goods and services. This is not mandatory. And also for some of you agents who are working in and among a funeral home, and the funeral home you're at may choose to want to use their own statement of services and merchandise form, you can do that. This is kind of a nice one because it is meant to auto add. I believe it's meant and is doing this. So as you're entering the amounts, it should be doing calculations for us, but let's hope so. If not, we may have some tweaking to do. You can go down through there, adding up any items that make up part of or all of the type of service that was selected. Okay. And Eddie, it does not look like it is auto adding, does it?
No, it isn't.
Okay. So I think we're gonna have to bring that to the attention of Bill Brooks at ELCO on this e-form. Okay. So people, if you're going to use this for the meantime, where you have zeros for subtotal areas and such, I hope it'll allow you to do it may not even permit you to go and do, Eddie, can you do a strike through or a write in on there? Like total funeral arrangement? Does it allow you? No, it's not. Okay, so we got to do something here to prepare in section of the app section. Okay. On the second page of the app, of the statement of goods, you can select the form of disposition that they have prearranged. More importantly, though, is the next area. Is this prearrangement a guaranteed or a non-guaranteed funeral contract? The other day, Terrell and I discussed, a little bit in depth about guaranteed and non-guaranteed contracts. It's really up to the funeral provider if they're going to tell a family, yes, I'm going to lock in the price of this funeral for you folks so that no matter whatever happens and no matter what the policy does for growth over the years or whatever happens to my funeral costs, your family will never ever be asked to come up with more money at the time of death for their mom's funeral. That is called a guaranteed contract. Okay. The opposite is what's will be a non-guaranteed contract, and they work this way. Folks, we're going to put this money into an ELCO policy. We hope that it's going to stay in step with inflation. However, at the time of death, the proceeds are going to be just available for the funeral that's being selected. If there are not enough funds based on our increase in cost over the years, you may have to come up with extra money to put in. Or you can choose different services and merchandise for what's in the policy. That's called a non-guaranteed contract. Okay, so that one part on the top part of this page, on page 2, where it does have a checkbox for either guaranteed or non-guaranteed, that's a careful one to make sure of with whatever funeral provider you're working for. If you're not doing it through a provider or you're not sure, I would always go non-guaranteed. Non-guaranteed. Okay. Then you have some initialing areas. That's where they've just been given the option to check off that, yes, I got a GPL. Yes, I received price information. And down below here, there are additional fields. You're getting down to this very final form, which is crucial. The secondary addressee form is optional. That's who can ELCO contact if they can't reach the policy owner. Maybe again they change banks and ELCO can't seem to get the premium amount paid for the next month or something. They can know that who to contact. But it's this page for Illinois and it'll be similar in other states. This is the actual irrevocable assignment of the policy to a funeral home. This is what protects the policy from medical assistance, or what we call Medicaid. So it is here that the client is irrevocably assigning the rights of the policy to their funeral home. In so doing, that tells Medicaid that they are not willing, or they have given up the right to to take the policy and surrender for any cash, or to do any policy loan or anything like that on it. It is not limiting their choice to select a different funeral home, but it is strictly locking away the asset component of their policy, so that Medicaid will look at this and say, yep, we're good. We'll exempt this policy and not count it as an asset. Okay? So that's what this form does. It's transferring the rights over to the funeral home. Okay? So, and in Illinois, you fill out both top and bottom. Okay, the top part is, because what's in effect going on is in Illinois, they have a part of their law that says, well, funeral homes cannot technically own insurance policies. Well, above, on the upper part, they actually assign the ownership to a funeral home. So at the bottom, the funeral home is in turn assigning it over into a secured funeral trust that is held at ELCO. Okay, so that's in effect what that does. Now it's blank because right now, Eddie, you have filled this out as the agent. When you now click next, okay, it'll ask you to fill in. Yep, you did. So click finish. Yeah, if you now finish, oh, see, that's a required area. It's in red. So you can just give city, state. Okay, so what's happening behind the scenes is Eddie has been sent an email that has said, you have now completed your portion as the agent. The next step it's going to go is sending it off to the funeral home, or whoever's doing the signing for the funeral home. So Eddie will go into his email, and he's going to look for the email now from DocuSign as if he were the funeral director, or the funeral, well, I should say the funeral provider. Okay. I would hope it's not going into spam. No. There you go. So you guys, the emails that come from the DocuSign engine are going to come from the sender email that I own, actually, with ELCO, and that is preneed@elcomutual.com. Okay, so all of those that come through, and you can inform your clients too, because of course they're going to get this in real time to do their signing as the applicant. If you inform them, okay, this is how this is going to work, we're going to fill out this paperwork online, you're going to get the application in your email, and look for an email that's going to come from the sender that is called preneed@elcomutual.com. So they know that that is the one they should look for in their email. So Eddie, you can review the document. All it's going to show you at this point, yep, you want to click and then say, I agree, hit continue. And you now see where all of the fields that Eddie completed are now filled out. The only areas that your client can change in here is where they can sign. They're not able to manipulate the document. That's by design. if ever they find something, oh, by the way, my date of birth is wrong, they're going to have to notify you and you'll have to go back into the document to change it. So right here, it's asking for Eddie to sign as agent. And it's asking for his street and city and state address and phone number. Oh, I'm sorry. This was being signed by Eddie as the funeral provider. We're in the funeral provider area already. Eddie, I'm sorry. You actually did sign already as the agent when you filled out the paperwork, when we set it up. My apologies. So, yep, this is the funeral portion. And you can scroll or you can always click next. By clicking next, it'll take you exactly to where it wants to go, for you to go to. Yeah, you might need another digit in the phone number. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. Okay. And that's where you're signing again. It's the funeral. Remember, that's that bottom section of the irrevocable assignment part, right?
Right.
So that's where that's coming into play. And that's really the back page of the agreement is all. So if you click finish, the next thing that's going to happen now, and you hear my own phone dinging. That's
Right.
because I'm being notified of a DocuSign app being done through these separate steps. Which is good, because if you ever get hung up on something, you can call me and I'll go, yep, okay, I can look in DocuSign into the database and find it right away if you had something that needed to get taken care of. All right. So so now Eddie will go back like he's the signing applicant, the proposed insured, wherever he sent that email in the fictitious setup. Okay. Much like any of you agents will. So there it is. Pre-need ELCO, please complete. Okay. And so it's here for you to review. So this is as if you were the actual proposed insured. They're going to be asked to click the box to agree that they're going to be signed. And then they click start, and it takes them right down to the box initials for the health questions. It next takes them to the area to sign as proposed insured. It's here they can initial if they've received all the price lists and everything, and they click there to authorize the assignment. Okay. And they can click finish and they're done. So at this point, ELCO has now received this application. And with it being where you entered already the bank account information, that policy can now get processed and the policy can get issued on the issuing date that was set up from the debit time of the first pullout for their money. And from there you will get paid. Commission cutoffs are on Wednesdays and Fridays of every week. So if you have something came in, like today being Friday, it'll come in, actually it'll be Monday, it gets processed, and I think it's Wednesdays, and I know it's Wednesdays and Fridays. I wonder if they do it Mondays as well. I will find out. I'll email you, Eddie.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's very important to know. So I'm going to create a laundry list of anything else that comes to mind by anybody that's here. Okay, commission run dates is the first thing. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions?
That's good.
Okay.
That was great, Jim.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and again, I urge any of us here on this webinar, please, you can't break the system. So just go in there, and even if you are not a South Carolina agent or an Illinois agent at this time, but maybe you're over in Ohio or somewhere else, go ahead and experiment in any one of those states in those apps. It's not going to matter. And as long as somehow you've indicated that it's a test case, they'll know just to get rid of it. Is there anything else that at this moment you have questions about? If not, I could cover anything else you want to cover.
Does anybody have anything that they were concerned with as it stands right now? Well, just to play around with those agreements for a while and get used to doing those that's gonna be good. You might want to go into the products a little bit, Jim.
Sure. Okay. I will. Let's go over here. And well, I might not be able to show my screen, so we'll communicate it. So the products you have available for you and through Eddie's organization is pre-need. and the pre-need product that you are writing is what's called pre-need advantage. Pre-need advantage, you have two ways you can issue or do products. One is a single pay, the other are payment plans. Payment plans that we offer are 3-year, 5-year, 7-year, and 10-year payment plans. With the payment plans, again, you answer the two health questions on the app for a payment plan. If the client can say no to both, they are then going to be issuing a policy under standard issue rates, and their death benefit is good from day one that they're applying for. On the other hand, if they had to say yes to either health question or both health questions, then they're going to be given or offered to have the guarantee issue multi-pay plan. And the guarantee issue multi-pay plan has a slightly higher monthly rate, but it's not much more. But more importantly, it's if death occurs in the first year that they're on a guarantee issue multi-pay. How that's going to get paid out then is return of premium plus 4% interest. So everything they paid in up to that day of death, they'll pay, and ELCO will pay out plus 4% interest. Beginning in the second year, if they died and they're on a guarantee issue multi-pay plan, then they will get 70% of the death benefit, 70% of the face, okay? Beginning with the third year on, they're in the clear for the full face amount.
I might add that's pretty good, that 366 day to be able to get 70%, because the contestable period is 2 years and most companies will stick to that. So
yes.
That's an advantage of pre-need programs as well.
It is. Now, again, if they said no to the health questions, if they said no and got a standard issue and died in the first 2 years, it could make that a contestable policy. ELCO would have the right to say, well, did not disclose on the app that they actually did have something that they should have said yes to, and should they then have gone to the guarantee issue multi-pay? If you're in doubt at all, go guarantee issue with these clients, because yeah, you run that risk of a first 2-year modified benefit schedule, but the rates themselves are not appreciably higher. So, kind of go with your gut. I would say this, though, don't get terribly, I always say don't play God, meaning, when you're reading these health questions, one of the health questions or part of it is health problem or heart problems. I hate that part of that health question. Heart problems. Well, technically I'm a 60-year-old guy. I've had quadruple bypass surgery. Do I have a heart problem? Probably. And yet my bypass surgery was 10 years ago, and I take a statin and an aspirin a day. That's it. So I would probably be saying, no, I don't have a heart problem now. Problem's been solved. But yet if somebody's in congestive heart failure, that's a different case. Then yeah, they're saying yes to that. Okay, the next products you have, that's pre-need. You also have the ability to do Silver Eagle final expense. Final expense, Eddie, your agents that you have here on this meeting may be experienced in final expense. I call it, it's the route where people are saying, yes, I feel it's very, very important to have a policy for the eventuality of a funeral for my family to have. But I right now don't have a preference for a funeral home. I don't even kind of service I want. I just want to earmark a policy for my death. Final expense is an excellent way to do that. With ELCO's final expense, it's multi-pay only. They don't have a single premium final expense product. There are numerous options with final expense where, again, they have the rate structures based on from a premier, is it a premier kind of status, all the way down to a guarantee issue and everything in between. Standard issue, standard plus, premium class or not. So yeah, I see premier plus, standard, graded, modified, and guaranteed issue. And that's all predicated on the actual app itself. And Eddie, because of course you were not unfortunately able to join us last week at ELCO's meeting when they had that golf outing, there is a new launch going on through the system for final expense through what's called MRS. MRS is the platform, much like I just took all of you through the eApp database for pre-need. The MRS database is going to function in much the same way. And it is what I call, or what they called, and I picked up on, is rules-based. So when you go in and begin to complete that application through the MRS platform, you're going to find out by answering the health questions with your client, it's going to tell you what they're qualifying or able to qualify for, whether it is a premier rate or a graded or a GI rate. It's going to tell you. And from there, you can choose, or your client can choose to accept that underwriting decision, or you can choose to appeal it. If you choose to appeal it, from what I understood in the demo last week, you will stop doing anything further in the MRS database, but instead you'll call into ELCO. And who you're going to get at ELCO is really Bill, okay? Billy is the great-grandson of the founder of ELCO. Billy is a great guy. He knows the underwriting like the back of his hand, and especially when it comes to final expense. So you're going to get Billy if you wish to appeal a decision and go, well, I think I should try to get my client, instead of in a graded, I want to try to get him up into a standard issue final expense. It's Billy who you talk to. From what I understand, most of the time it's the drug combo that, like he gave an example, if somebody's on metoprolol plus Lasix, that's probably an indicator that not only do they have a heart or a high blood pressure issue, they probably got a kidney issue with it. And so the rules base is going to automatically put that client into something of a rate class where you talk to Bill, and I'm not saying for that exact combo of drug, but you might have something combo that is like that. And Billy will go, oh, okay, well, okay, what are they taking this for? Oh, I get it, and from there it might mitigate the type of coverage that client can qualify for final expense.
So Jim, this is Delbert. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi,
So
welcome.
Hey, how's it going? I've been here. So what you're saying, what's the name? Bill, he can overrule an underwriter?
Well, he can't overrule necessarily, but he is your go-to guy for
Okay.
if the underwriting decision turns out to be something that you had hoped was going to be otherwise. Now,
Right.
some of them are obvious, right? I mean, oh yeah, I'm going into the MRS setup, and okay, the insured is telling me they're on this drug and that drug and this, and the underwriting decision comes back and says, yep, your client can get this coverage. It's a modified benefit final expense. And you go, yep, sure, I get it, no problem. And you tell the client that, and they go, okay, yep, this is going to be your rate. But
Right.
in a different scenario, Delbert, you're right. It might be, really? They threw my client into this rate class? I thought I could have gotten him into this other one. I would urge you just to stop right there, because if you go further into the app, I've learned this from before it's ever been an MRS application set up. If you go further, it's going to kind of lock that decision like, well, nope, your client accepted that. Well, they did. So you just want to stop. Okay. And then just end it right there and then call Bill. Okay.
Fair enough.
And let me see if I got Bill's. I know I've got Bill's number. So his direct line to his desk is area code 224-552. And then I got to get his last 4 digits. Hang on, everybody. Yeah, 1242. So 224-552-1242. Okay. And even though Julie and I are preemie, we're not technically over on the final expense in life or annuity type products. Any of you can call us if you got an issue or something that, hey, I called Bill's desk, I didn't get a call back within a half hour, I thought I would. You call us, we'll see who we can try to hunt down for you, and including Billy. Okay. But Bill's really good. And even like Julie and I, if it's really a crucial case, you're the client, and like right now it's 6 p.m. on a Friday, Bill will take a call. That's what ELCO is. We try our best to really be here for you people to get what you got to get when you need it. Okay.
Fantastic.
All right. So, Eddie, I saw you hovering over that agent's link with the drop down.
Okay.
It had Silver Eagle up in there, didn't it? It had iPipeline. iPipeline is for doing illustrations for is that where you clicked for Silver Eagle? Where'd you been? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, under the agents tab, that is where you're going to find the MRS link for final expense. It's not yet totally launched. They had this outing last week with a little nuts and bolts rollout of the MRS final expense application pipeline. But they did tell us that in that visit that they said we're not quite ready to make it ready to roll as of that day. They said we have beta tested it, we've done everything we need to do, but we're just doing some final touches here. So where Eddie is going right now is into iPipeline. iPipeline is for if you're wanting to do a quote with printed capability or emailing capability for a whole life product like Golden Eagle Whole Life or things like that. Silver Eagle final expense you're not going to find in there, I don't think. I think that's only now being used for whole life illustrations. As far as rates go, if you're looking to get to rates for final expense or for whole life or for pre-need, that can all be found in the mobile rate calculator for your iPhone or your Android. Okay. And so that mobile rate app is really critical. So any of you, again, go out onto your app store and download that ELCO mobile rate calculator. password once again is employee's life 1946 $sign. Okay. Was there anything else, you guys or Eddie, that you wanted to cover real quick?
I think we've done it, Jim. But I did want to say, when you go into the mobile app, yeah, you got to go in there and play around with it, because all of the products are there. But you have to hit a drop down and things of that nature so that you have the right product, and whether you're going to choose the payment or the face amount for the calculation. So when you go into that mobile app, just stay in there for a while and start clicking around, because you'll find those drop downs. And once you find them, you always know where they are. But when you just look at it, if you don't realize that they're there, then all of a sudden you're thinking that you need some more information, but it's all in the app.
Yes. Thank you, Eddie. That's very, very good information. Please go in there and go in there and try to play around in there. Okay. And from there, the only other thing I was going to ask, back to pre-need, Eddie, do you outfit the agents who are part of Cooper Professionals with any ancillary things like pre-need guidebooks? Do you do that, or or is that something?
We have a pre-need presentation that they have, and we do also have an electronic guidebook.
Oh, electronic
Planning, yes.
Okay, wonderful. Wanted to know that if there was something or anything you were needing from ELCO related to that.
Well, with regard to the presentation book, I think we might want to send that off and let them upgrade it. So far, we've been going to Staples and having them pull something together for us. But if we can get something that's bound with those pictures and everything, it's definitely going to be better. And they can change out the casket pages and the services and whatnot. So we'll circle back on that after Labor Day. Thank you, Jim. Glad you brought that up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you and us should visit about that, Eddie, because I bet we can get it done a lot more economically than for you with Staples, or I mean, with some other printing house than Staples, I should say. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. So keep us apprised of that, and I think for now, there's a lot of other things we could cover. For instance, if somebody already has if somebody needs to sign a policy. Now, again, this isn't payment plans. This is single pay type products. But if somebody needs that, but they don't have a POA or guardian, but they're next of kin relative, they can sign an app for a client. Okay. All it requires is a statement from you, the agent. The client doesn't even have to sign it, but that's useful. Again, mostly single pay, where a husband might be in the nursing home and the wife who would be with and doing a single premium policy, something like that, they can sign for the husband. We have that capability. We have a product for people who are older than age 95. That is called a DFD, basically a dollar for dollar. They can start one up for as little as $300, and they can add in amounts. ELCO likes to see $100 amounts added at a time, but it's like a passbook and like a savings account at a bank. It's just allowing them to add in. For you, the agent, there's not much commission in it. However, when death occurs, there's never a chargeback on DFD. So, and the growth is 1.5% interest on it. So they get a little growth with it. But that you can write on somebody from age 96 where the rates run off on pre-need, age 96 all the way out to age 110. You can write somebody on a DFD. Okay.
We have the tools. Yes.
So, but I can't impress enough on everybody. Thank you for taking time on this Friday afternoon. And by all means, Julie and I are here for you. Feel free to call us at any time. We can even be your support if any of you want to take a little time to do some run through. We're happy to do that. And just call us if you need anything emailed to you at all, like the PDF versions of the application form sets, or any of the other related forms or things like that, or how's everybody doing on paper rate cards and things like that. If anybody needs anything like that, just let Julie or I know, and we'll get you covered. Okay.
Fantastic. Well,
All right.
no one has anything further. Jim, I just want to thank you for spending this valuable time with us. And you guys have a great holiday weekend, because I think somewhere around Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to look at where your first sale comes from and some of those details. Now you know how to write a contract. We're going to go get those first sales consummated. Without any further ado, we're a little over hours. So happy Friday, happy weekend, everybody.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, everyone, for jumping
Hey,
on
buddy.
here today. Have a wonderful Labor Day weekend.
You
All
guys
right.
have a better one.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Enjoyed you.
Thanks. Eddie, do you mind sharing with me real quick, when you get time, not today, but who our attendees were? I'd like to personally reach out and send them an email next week thanking them for being on today. So yeah, I'll do that. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Much, bye.
Okay. Bye-bye now.